Hello and welcome to Sonnia Spotlight, where I shine a light on people, places, and things you ought to know. I'm your host, Sonnia, and today we have Andrea Hale, aka Shamelessly Fabulous. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here as well.
Perfect. So let's just get right into the introduction. So for those who don't know who you are, could you tell us who you are, where you're located, and what you do?
Okay, so I am Andrea of Shamelessly Fabulous. I created Shamelessly Fabulous a long time ago, and it was after I had my daughter. I was going through this like crisis. I was like, I don't know who I am. And I used to be really fabulous. And I got told all these stories about who I should be after becoming a mom. And I was like, F that. I'm going to be fabulous. I'm not going to take your shame.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I developed this idea of Shamelessly Fabulous, I figured out that there was a lot of times in my life that I had been shamed into staying small, being quiet, so on and so forth. I mean, like I can think of so many instances. And so Shamelessly Fabulous is a culmination of just being like, I'm not going to take your shame. I'm going to be fabulous. And the reason that it translates into promoting a vegan lifestyle, which I use it to do now, is because it is a shame what happens to animals every day in the name of food, fashion, and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It is a shame that when someone stops exploiting animals, we call them crazy. And it is a shame what animal agriculture is doing to our planet. So I am just here shining my bright, beautiful light on what it looks like to live a life without exploiting and enslaving animals.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And when I read that in your bio, I thought, man, that is just such a great connection to make. And not everyone makes that kind of connection, you know. So how long have you been vegan?
I just had my 4-year vegan anniversary.
Wow.
Vegan anniversary.
Yay,
When was that?
anniversary.
June 22nd. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there was like so many things that led up to that moment, but once it happened, I was like, I can't look back.
That's awesome. Yeah, can you tell us about your vegan journey?
Oh, absolutely. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So I would say about 6 months before going vegan, I watched these documentaries. So I started with Blackfish, which is about a whale in captivity. So it's, I can't remember his name, but they go through this whole story of how at SeaWorld, they keep this animal in a container that he's not supposed to be in. He was lonely. He was depressed. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe we're doing this to animals. And I was like, I'll never go to that place. Side note, every time I've left zoos, like before going vegan, I always felt depressed. I always my spirit was like, this is not okay. So that's just a little side note. That's one of those things that I ignored. That's one of those things that I knew something was off, but I kept going with the crowd. So that's just a little side note. Yeah. So then I watched The Cove, which is this other documentary about about dolphins in Japan, where these fishermen come and just slaughter a bunch of dolphins, and I'm just like horrified. And I'm saying to myself when I'm watching these documentaries, you're no different. You're no different. And then I would say, oh, but you need to eat animals to survive. Mm-hmm. I'd go through this whole thing. And so that was the first phrase that I said to myself, and I was like, then I just kind of started seeing, like, it was like the veil kind of lifted a little, and I was like looking at myself for the first time in this way that every time I would eat an animal product, I just didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, then what happened? Then, I met my sister for the first time. Mm. So my dad had kids all over the world because that's what he did. And I met my sister for the first time in 2016, I believe. Okay. And she was a pescatarian at the time. And I was like, I was like, why? I'm just curious. Like, why don't, because I had already had these questions. So I'm like, why don't you eat animals? And she's like, I saw a chicken going through cardiac arrest, and it just broke my heart. And I was like, I will not eat land animals anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because we were serving food that day. We were serving a cow that day. And so I just kind of was like, okay. So then I started researching just a little bit, and then I just go back because I'm like, I'm not ready to change. But that was like another seed.
Mm-hmm.
Then my dad calls and tells me that he has pancreatic cancer. And I started researching what causes this. And like legit, almost across the board, everything says that there's a correlation between eating animal products and cancer. Everywhere. If you research it, it's everywhere. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Then I met a vegan. And she busted the veil wide open. I went home that day. I had fish. I had a fish that night. And that was the last animal I ever ate on the 21st of June.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and this is why I ask about everyone's vegan journey, right? So like for my husband and I, it was actually overnight, and not everyone is like that, right? It's small steps for some people. Some people are overnight, and I love sharing when people share their story, because there's so many different avenues and how you become vegan. So my interview before this was with Hillary Knight Parker, and she makes these. Oh, if you haven't had her cupcakes yet, you have to. She delivered all over the Bay Area. And she says that there's two kinds of people. There are vegans and there are future vegans. And your story just reminded me of that, because every step of the way there was a little seed that was planted. There's a little seed that was planted. And you, like you said, when you left zoos, you just felt so bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a powerful statement that she said, because I never realized that, right? Like, and like you said, the people have to make that choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to make that connection, and then, make that switch. And it's not going to, sometimes it's not going to be overnight, and sometimes it will. So
sometimes it is. I feel like there should be, like a course for going plant-based. Like if you really just are like not going to be doing it for the animals, and then a course for going vegan, because they're two different things.
Absolutely.
Like if you want, like if you want to go plant-based for your health, like there are optimal things that you can do. And if you want to go vegan for the animals, because that's the only reason that you can actually go vegan, let's be real.
Right.
Then you got to watch Earthlings, and you have to do research on like the deep-seated entitlement that we have for animals' bodies. You really have to like go through and change your brain.
Yeah.
You really do. Like you have to go change your brain and your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you go vegan. Yeah.
And there's actually I don't know if it's vegan. I think it's a non-vegan book, and it's called Change Your Brain, Change Your Mind. It correlates, to everything that you do in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another interview I did was with Giuseppe Nunez. I'm not sure if you know her. She's the founder of Mindfulness Women, but it's all about mindset, right? Not just the vegan journey, but everything you do in life is all about mindset. And when you change that mindset, it just happens, right? Like there's no turning back. You change the mindset and you go.
Yes.
And I think that is just, it's just so interesting to hear everyone's journey.
It is. I found that interesting as well. Yeah. I love it, because everyone's story is so different.
Yep.
And what I have said is that I want people to share their vegan stories, because there might be someone watching that's not vegan yet, but for some reason, the way that you said something unlocks them. Some reason. Maybe someone's watching and they're like, oh, I gotta have that feeling when I leave zoos too. Maybe I should explore that instead of ignoring that,
Absolutely.
And so it's just like these little seeds. You don't know who you're going to reach.
Yep. Yeah. And I like how you mentioned that there should be so there are courses out there, or there are material out there about going plant-based, but there's nothing out there about how to live vegan. Well, not that I've seen, right? I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen it. It's everyone's always focusing on the food. Yeah. And I'm like, it's different. It's different. Yeah. Like it's like I think it's the Princess Bride. It's like this word vegan. I don't think it means what, like, I don't think, like, you know what I mean? I don't know the exact phrase, but it's like, I don't think it means what you think it means.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Absolutely.
It really,
And that's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
some people
baby
just don't
steps.
know. Like you said, the education isn't out there. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
There should be something out there. So
yeah.
what you have multiple platforms. You have, Instagram, you have your website, you also have YouTube. And one of the videos that I came across was called Shifting Perspective.
Hmm.
And wow, that is a very powerful video.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank you, first of all, for making that video, because just like you said with the vegan journey, you never know who's listening. You don't know
Hmm.
what people are going through. You don't know who needs to hear that message, right?
Yeah.
And that experience is so personal, so vulnerable.
Hmm.
But you were brave enough to share that.
It was the hardest video that I've ever made.
Yeah, and so I'm actually going to show a little clip here so that people can see or hear which video I'm talking about, and then at the end of the video they can go back to your YouTube, which is Shamelessly Fabulous also.
Hmm.
So I'll show it here.
About 2 children after that, my son gets up and the teacher says, "Do you have anything to share?" And he says, "Yes. I want to tell you about my baby sister. Her name is Hazel, and she died in my mommy's belly." In that moment, I was reminded about 10 days after I gave birth to my stillborn baby girl. And that was the moment that my milk came in. And in that moment, I felt this deep sense of sadness for every mother that had ever lost a baby. And my mind automatically went to the dairy cows. Because we as humans, in order to get dairy products, we forcibly impregnate cows. She carries that baby for 9 months. And then we take that baby away from her and then hook her up to machines so that we could take the milk that she has made for her baby. And I felt just this uncontrollable grief. I just felt so sad that we as humans can get in between the bonds of a mother and a baby in that way, with no discretion, with no regard for their lives.
I wanted to ask you how you got through that experience. If you could just talk us through
Yeah.
that.
So it was really hard. It was, I mean, and I still have, challenges with that. But if I'm being honest, which I always am, I shouldn't even say if, I'm open.
Mhm.
The first, I think 2 months, I was just drunk. Like, I was just drunk all of the time. And I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel anymore. I was just like, it was so overwhelming. And then I got myself together and I started working my steps, which is journaling and making sure that I dance every day, making sure that I laugh, making sure that I eat nutritious food. And then I got into the gym and I started treating my body like the baby that I lost. And that was my way of taking care of someone, because there was you have no idea how empty your arms are after having after giving birth to a child at 7 months pregnant that is stillborn, that you don't get to bring home. Your body yearns for a baby. It's I've had miscarriages before and it's not the same. It's your body was ready.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely just deep self-care. Definitely. That
Yeah.
was putting down the alcohol for sure. When I just had just this moment of clarity, okay, it's time to feel, because you got to feel it to heal it. You can't run from it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but I always have to be honest about the beginning.
Yeah.
Which was drunk.
Yeah. And so I bring that up because you're such a, like your name, it's fabulous. You're such a fabulous person. You're so motivating. And it's it is important, I think, for people to hear, like, how people get through things, right? And how
Yes.
people get from point A to point Z.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like that is why I don't focus, like, my focus is not just on being vegan. My focus is on like motivating, inspiring, nurturing, empowering folks to live their best life.
Yeah.
And that happens from the inside out.
Yeah.
And so I just happen to be vegan, but I also want you to be happy, and I want you to be mentally healthy, and I want you to be emotionally and spiritually healthy. And it all comes with mindset. It comes with diet. It comes with moving your body. Like, there's all these facets. So I can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to be like animal activist. Like, I have too much in me to give that you're going to get it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And with that, when I go to your page, you have this daily dose of Dre, which I absolutely love. So for those who don't know, if you go to her Instagram story, every day on her stories, I mean, stories are like, what, 30 seconds? And that 30 seconds gives you this, like, anyone who's watching gives you this burst of energy. She is dancing, she is moving, she's, motivating you just at 30 seconds. You guys have to check that out. Follow her on Instagram, Shamelessly Fabulous, and watch stories. So tell us about how that all came about. What gave you the idea to do that every day, and also what motivates you to move your body every day?
Because I have to. I get to, first of all.
I love that.
Which is like the first thing that you should remember, is that you get to move your body. Like, you're able. Yeah. But it's medicine. It's medicine. It's therapy. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm my best self if I'm moving my body.
Yeah.
And I know that anyone watching will be their best selves, even if it's just 1%, if they move their bodies. And so it all started actually in the beginning of Corona.
Oh, okay.
So in the beginning of Corona, I actually coped in the same way that I did after I lost my daughter, which was just drinking. And then I came to this point, well, I had a moment, and I was like, I'm done drinking. And I felt, so I love drinking, but while we're in this really delicate space, I knew that I was not drinking to have fun. I was not drinking because I was happy. I was drinking because I was so sad. And I've been given this mission to basically help humanity evolve. Like, that's my mission. Yeah. And it was just too heavy. I was like, God, no. Not like, this is too much. And so I was like numbing it. I was like, nope, you're not telling me anything about my life right now. No. And then I had a moment of clarity again. And I was like, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to tap out. Yeah. You don't get to do that. You're here for a reason, and you need to live, and you need to walk. You need to dance in your purpose, girl. Yep. So it's not about you.
Yep.
That's what I got told. It's not about you. And I was like, okay. So then that's what happened. And I was moving my body even throughout those times where I was drinking.
Okay.
But then after, it was like, okay, I know that I have to move my body every day. I need to dance every day, because some days I don't feel like it, and I won't fake. I'll just be like, here's a picture of me on my walk. Here's your daily dose. Yeah. But I absolutely move my body every day. There's no question. So I'm here to do a thing, and I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. And I love how you said that, because I get to, right? Because we associate moving our bodies, exercising with, oh, I have to, like it's a chore. But really, again, with that mindset, if we change it and we say, I get to do this, because you don't know what's going to happen later on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And you have to take that moment too. It's an opportunity for you, right? To take that moment and move your body. So I'm really glad that you said that.
Yeah, and it's an act of self-care. It really is. You're like, I get to take care of myself, and it doesn't have to be strenuous. It could be a silly dance party where you're just like waving your arms around.
Yeah.
Like it could be just like jumping up and down.
Yeah.
It could be just a leisurely walk. But the clarity that you'll gain, it's just worth it to move your body every day.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And then the other thing that that you have going on every Friday, it's called Shamelessly Fabulous Fridays.
Yes.
I just absolutely love it. I mean, it's similar to what we're doing here. You're spotlighting everyone, and you are just spreading positivity and everyone's stories. So tell us about that, how that came about, and all that.
Again, in the beginning of Corona times, I was feeling like I wasn't getting a lot out of social media. And I didn't feel like giving a lot. It was just this, I like reached this point and I was like, what can I do? When do I feel my best? And I feel my best when I'm celebrating others. That's when I feel my best. And so I was like, okay, let me spotlight someone that is fabulous, that is vegan, and like let me share them and let me celebrate them, and hopefully they can inspire others the way that they inspire me, or uplift others the way that they uplift me. And when I first did it, so it was I think it was in May, when like I had my moment. And it was before George Floyd died or was murdered. And it was before I reached out to people of all ages and demographics. And then something in my heart after he was murdered said, please celebrate Black women right now. And I just felt like it was really, really important to celebrate Black women. And I have a whole long list of reasons why Black women should be celebrated right now. But I'm not going to get into that. But right now, I am celebrating Black women. And it's just, their stories are so rich. Their stories are important. And we need to be celebrated right now. And so eventually I'll branch out and I will celebrate others. But for right now, like my heart is telling me, please keep on celebrating these beautiful Black women.
Absolutely. Amplify their voices, and absolutely. Especially, I mean, we should have been doing this all along, everyone in the world. And I just love it. I love the Fabulous Fridays that you do. And it just, there are, if you go to if you work in like a corporate office, they have like these networking, events, right?
Yeah.
There's Vegan Women's Summit who does that also. And they bring the different, vegan women there and share their stories. But I don't think I've seen anything that's kind of like, a network, right? So of vegans that I know of. I don't know. Maybe there's something
right.
And I think that what you do and what we're doing here is that, we're bringing to you people you may not know, people that you should know about. Check out their you know what they're about, right? And there's something that they can offer you.
Absolutely. And I think my little tagline for it is like, adds a little sunshine to my day, and I'm hoping that they can do that for you.
I love that.
I'm still trying to work out my introduction. Like I'm not as crisp and clear as you yet. I'm trying to work on it. I definitely want it to be like natural. So I'm just like, hey, I'm working it out. I think I'm on my I don't know, probably 8th episode so far, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And it's right around lunchtime here in California. And so I know that I always turn it on while I'm eating lunch and I'm watching you guys.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
And then if I miss it, then I always go back to your IGTV to watch it.
Yeah. They've been some really, really good conversations. Soul-versations is what I like to call them.
Yes.
Which was coined after I feel like it was my second one. It was my second one. It was my second conversation. And then we were just like, there was crying, there was laughter, and I was just like, oh no, we can't call this a conversation. There's more going on here.
Yeah.
And so I coined the phrase soulversation. I'm sure it's somewhere else too, but like I just liked it. You know who I got it from? Actually, it was like a play off of India Ari's album,
Mm.
Songversation,
Oh,
who
okay.
has been getting me through these times with her music right now is just,
Mhm.
it is like just what I needed.
Yep. Yep.
Just, yeah, just what humanity I
Yep.
feel like needs right now. Like, listen to that.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. So, you also, you mentioned to me when we first met that you have 5 kids?
Well, my angel baby is
Okay,
one
yeah.
of, yes, is one of my babies. Her name is Hazel. And then I have 2 older kids. I've got I think she's 26 now, 26 and 21. And then I've got a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I married into the 2 older ones.
Mhm.
And I'm the amazing bonus mom.
Awesome.
And then I've got these 2 little ones, and they're just, I love them so much.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Yeah. And they just get cooler every day.
Yeah.
Like, well, me and my my middle older daughter, we hang out like we're like besties, and I love her so much. Like, we go to music festivals together. She keeps me young.
Yeah.
I keep her grounded, and yeah. So.
Yeah, so I bring that up because you are able to move your body every day, even though you have multiple kids.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your schedule is just crazy. So I bring
Well,
that up
I'm
because,
sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say I bring that up because, it's just to, not to shame anybody, but just to show that it is possible,
Yes.
So,
Yes.
about that.
Well, my husband knows that if I don't move my body, we're not gonna. The house just can't flow the way that it needs to flow. And so what happens is, in the morning, he wakes up, he goes on a walk. I get ready for my day. I do a little daily dose of Dre,
Yeah.
and get ready to go for my either run or walk, depending on like what my body is telling me to do. Got to listen to her.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like, that's how we start our day every single day. Like, we just tap off.
I love that.
And yeah, it's been amazing for our relationship, and it's been amazing for our household.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, before we get into what I call the Fave Five,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to ask you how people can support your journey.
So if you know someone that needs a little bit of inspiration in their lives, like food wise, emotionally, spiritually, send them my way. I don't do like coaching or anything like that, but my space is enough to get your mind right.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's it. Send them over if they need like easy, because like my meals, they might look a certain way, but they're easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like super simple. So like, and I do eat a lot of salads and smoothies because that's what makes my body feel best. But like this morning I threw down in the kitchen and I made some like soy riso and some potatoes with a little side salad. So I get a little junky sometimes, but for the most part, it's like I eat what my body is like, this is good.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are at the part that I call the Fave Five. So I love to find out people's favorite things, and I'm going to ask you 5 of your favorite things.
Yeah.
So the first one is, what is your favorite comfort food?
Ooh, yes, comfort food. Potatoes are the first thing that come to mind. Like potatoes, because you could just do anything with potatoes. You could have mashed potatoes. You could have potatoes. Hands down, potatoes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that actually is a popular answer.
It's just so, and mac and cheese is like a close second, but potatoes, because it's just like, it just like hits you right there in your
Oh yeah,
belly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
instant comfort.
Yeah. And so to that, do you have a favorite restaurant?
Ooh. Ah, man. So I really, really love Millennium. here in the Bay. It's in Berkeley, I believe.
I've been there.
Like, I love their what do they have? Those mushrooms?
Mm-hmm.
What do they call those? It's like calamari.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Those are like my favorite thing to eat ever.
Yeah.
So I love that restaurant, but I also love the Butcher's Son. So it's like,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely.
it's a tie between those two.
Yeah.
There's also a restaurant in Atlanta, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it's all vegan, and it's like a fusion restaurant, and the food is.
So, do you have a favorite place that you like to visit?
I love Hawaii. I love Hawaii so much. It's so good. It smells so good.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels good to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, hands down.
Yeah.
Until I find some other magical place. Like, I liked the Virgin Islands, but I got tore up by these like sand bugs.
Oh.
And I was like, I got turned off. I was like, I don't like this.
Yikes! Yeah.
I didn't even know you can't even see them. But all of a sudden, I'm in bed at night, and I'm like,
oh no!
It was crazy.
I had
So,
no idea. Wow.
Yeah, really beautiful place, but bring your repellent because not a joke.
I agree with Hawaii. I mean, my husband, daughter, and I go there. We try to go there every year. Of course,
yes.
With Corona, we had to cancel this year, but
yeah. Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. And so I wanted to ask too, what is your favorite form of self-care? What do you do to take care of Andrea?
So many things come to mind, but I really feel like most taken care of when I move my body.
Yeah.
Like, that's when the cruft that kind of clogs up my brain is like melts away. So I love that. It's like, I love baths and things like that and doing masks and things.
Mm-hmm.
But like moving my body and then journaling. Those are the two things that I'm like very consistent about. I've kept a journal for like the last 30 years.
Wow.
So, and I have all of them. So I could see what my like 10-year-old self was thinking.
Wow.
I love writing. I've always loved writing. Like, I feel like I can actually communicate better when writing than I can when talking. Like it allows the thoughts to flow a little bit more freely, and I can get some articulation, because like I get stuck sometimes when it comes to talking. I'm like, where's that word? But when I'm writing, somehow magically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so finally, I wanted to ask you to, do you have a favorite quote, saying, or words that you live by?
It was between because I got put on the spot on my Shamelessly Fabulous Fridays. I asked someone that question, and then they threw it back at me. Like, they were like, I don't know, what's yours? And I was like, oh shoot, what's mine? So it's between treat people as you want to be treated and do you, boo.
Yeah.
With a caveat, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But do you, boo is like my favorite thing. Like, people will be like, Drea, should I da-da-da-da-da? I'm like, do you, boo?
Yeah.
Like, people will call me. They call me for advice. They're like, what should I do about this? And I'm like, you better stop tripping about what other people are thinking about you. And do you, boo?
Yep.
Absolutely. You cannot be worried about what other people are thinking of you.
Yeah.
Because you can't manage that. You can't manage that. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yep.
Don't hurt nobody. And do you, boo?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for sharing this moment with me and the audience. Everyone out there, if you guys are not following her, please go on Instagram and go to Shamelessly Fabulous. She also has a website that has a ton of stuff there that motivates you. And so I wanted to say thank you again. And
thank you for having me.
To have you, on again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about other things.
Yeah, talk about other things and to update us on your journey on everything. And hopefully by then you have your YouTube, like you said, you're gonna move Shamelessly Fabulous over.
I am. I gotta clean it up and do it right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Because I really like what I'm doing, and I feel like it's important for other people to hear these stories. They're just so rich and they're so important.
Yeah.
And they need to be available outside of an app that a lot of people just don't mess with.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
really don't.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much, and
Thank you.
have a fabulous day.
I will, you too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.